Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to honor the life and memory of James Neil Orlin. Now's a great time to make sure your cell phones and pagers are on silent. We're going to start with today by watching a short slideshow. You'll be able to see from the balloons and the pictures in the slideshow that James was a traveler. So please enjoy. At this time, I'd like to ask Ken to come up to the podium to say a few words.
Everybody. Thanks for coming. Um, didn't prepare anything fancy to say, but I thought about Jim quite a bit the last few days and remembering some of the smiles that he had. Jim was a bright light. He burned bright. Times he'd burn himself out, as we all know. He was easy sometimes and hard at other times, but he was Jim, and he always had that light was always there, even when it wasn't. It was in the background. I remember things. I mean, I don't know if many people know this, but Jim had a ghost. His name is Goyman. He'd show up at Passover instead of Elijah and drink the wine. Or if a door would open, he would just go, it would in the middle of dinner or something. It's Goyman coming in. I don't even know where that name came from. And he's always making things up. We have a close friend of my mom and dad's, Joan Weinberger, had the name Agis. That's spelled Agth, Agis. That's just a little memory and something that he's always so good at making up. Auntie Jonah Tanta, honey. Tanta is aunt. That's what she was. And he was always bringing that. And he came through us and for us at a very difficult time in our lives when my dad passed away, and he was there. And he wasn't happy about it, but he was there, and he was there all in the all. He didn't do a half of a job, and he helped my mom and my brother, or myself and my sister, hold on to part of what we had, kept us in the dry cleaning business. But so, as I said, he can be difficult, but he was also a very happy and fun person, even up to the end. Last times I talked to him. So thanks for coming.
All right. We just listened to A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles, one of James's favorites. Now I'd like to ask AJ to come to the podium to also say a few words.
My uncle, Jamis is what we called him. And as a nephew, it was the perfect way to have a relationship with Jim or Uncle Jamis because all we got to witness and observe was his humor. and the incredible jokes that he would play, mainly on my mom. He was very good at making her laugh. And my fondest memories, I have many, but one of them was a Donald Duck voice that he could do. I should have practiced before I came. Can you do it? And so that was very fun, especially as a little kid being like, what? He's Donald Duck. But I think my favorite memories were when all of us were together as a family because him and Ken together, especially, could make everyone laugh. And again, especially my mom. They were very good at making Marcy laugh. And between him and my grandmother, his mother, Merle, I definitely picked up this travel bug, which is why they have the balloons of the world here. And I was very grateful that I got to visit him before I left for Bali, Indonesia 6 months ago, which is where I currently live. And that will be until I go somewhere else because that's how I am. That's how Jim was. And I visited him as his health was dwindling. And he shared about all the places he had been with me. And every place he said, oh, the people there, they're so amazing. And then he'd talk about, oh, Thailand, oh, the people there, they're so amazing. And it was so nice to see that charm come out of him, even when he wasn't doing well, when his health was dwindling, when he was starting to feel sick, he still had this spark for life, for love, and for people. And I look forward to carrying that through in my travels. And so nice to see all of you.
We just listened to Breathe by Pink Floyd. At this time, I'd like to open the floor to anybody who would like to say a few words.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bia Armendariz. I've known Jim for over 40 years, believe it or not. Some of you I've seen maybe once or twice in a lifetime, but he was a free spirit. I think everybody knows that. And his traveling, which he loved to do, was because he loved to meet people. He was an adventurous. As much as he could take his first breath of life when he entered this world, he also took his last breath. And as you read in his statement that he wanted to share with us, is that thanking you all for your friendships and love through his lifetime. That sometimes, although I'm sure some of you realize that sometimes he get very angry with you, but he couldn't keep his anger very long. He could get angry with me in the many years that we were good friends. And, but he'd always come back with a joke, maybe never really saying sorry. Maybe that wasn't his way, but he would come back and share memories and times with you and his jokes. He'd get me into situations where, of course, you all know that he was not only a free spirit in travel, he was also quite much in business as he took over the family business, as Ken had shared. And there was ups and downs with that, with the family and him. And of course, he would come back and we would talk about that. But he would share, his struggles, but he'd also share his gift and his upbringing with me, of his Jewish traditions, of his mother and his father who he loved. And he got me in a situation one time where, I don't know if you know this, he bought like 20 timeshares in Santa Fe all over the place. So he calls me up, says, listen, I got too many timeshares. I said, really? He says, meet me at the 7th Street Bar. So I go and meet him at the 7th Street Bar. And Jessica probably knows that the 7th Street Bar was where he used to go and take a break, because Jessica's here and worked with him many times, many years, in fact. And he loved Jessica. And I don't know how you stood by him so many times, ups and downs, but you did. And he loved you for that. But he would meet at the 7th Street Avenue Bar, and he'd get the check and he says, well, don't worry about it. I said, okay. Because he was very prudent as well, as some of you know, with his money. And I said, well, what's this about? And he says, oh, I already got this covered. I got the deal. I said, what'd you negotiate this time? Oh, I negotiated with 7th Street Avenue Bar owner that I will do his linens, because at the days they used to have the white linens on the tables. And that switch was for food and drink. So he had just a few blocks away from the family business. He would go there and take the break and take his frustrations out, or laugh, enjoy other people around him. But he always had a sense of adventure in life and business. And I think what I want to remember most is that his ability to not only love music, but to love people. And he wants, I think, wrote a message to all of us in the obituary, that he wants to have you continue life, enjoy it. And as his nephew apparently is following in his uncle's footsteps by the adventure of life that you're living, is to continue to thrive and love and enjoy every breath that we have on this earth, as we've given the ability of our spiritual sides to go forward. And so I just want to leave you with that I'm happy to see that he had his wishes of the cremation, and also the adventure that he wants to take one last time at the Lookout Mountain. And I'd like to attend that. And I don't know when that's going to happen, but I believe that his wishes is like passes his ashes to the wind, because he, again, that swirl of the wind that he goes and flies as he flies across Colorado, which he loves so dearly. That's to continue, his spirit will continue on and travel. Thank you for allowing me to speak today and sharing you just a few. I have many more, but those are the ones that I stay with today. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to say a few words? Okay. If not, that will conclude our memorial service shortly today. I want to thank everyone again for coming and sharing. It's an honor and a privilege to serve your family and take care of James. Earlier and during the service, we heard Beatles and Pink Floyd, and it's very evident that James loved people and music. And so now we're going to listen to some classical music to end the service while we reflect for a few moments and then continue to share those stories, those favorite jokes, and visit with the folks that are here. And there are some refreshments and food in the other room. So please continue to do that in there as well. And thank you again.